So, in the end, self abandonment, self oppression, and rejection are the cost we are paying to be liked by others. How ridiculous is that? I feel a lot of people have mistaken the meaning of the word authentic. Currently, this word has been trending, and a lot of people have been researching how to be authentic, which I feel is so tragic because the most easy thing for us to do is to be able to be authentic. Right now on social media, a lot of content creators are making their content in a way that seems authentic to people, but it is not really authentic to themselves. And I have experienced this myself because of the pressure of the social media algorithm. But what I find disgusting is that a lot of people are faking their trauma just so that they are seen as more authentic and they're taken more seriously. But because of this, real victims and survivors of trauma are invalidated. The image people have of authenticity is someone with minimal or no makeup, going for toned down or basic kind of outfits, speaking in a more casual or informal way instead of an intentionally stylized way, choosing neutral or pastel, minimal kind of home decor, and being humble, relatable, talking about your struggles here and there from time to time, and basically not having an attitude. This is a very flawed assumption of what authenticity is. And because of this, whoever doesn't fit into this image or brand is just called fake and simply dismissed. Usually, the ones who are dismissed are those who go for a full face of makeup, they play up their fashion. In fact, their outfit looks like it's been intentionally put together. They may speak in a more stylized way, and it may come off as professional or formal to others. They may go for more maximal kind of home decor, which others may call more tacky, weird, or show off. So typically, they feel safe in their self expression. They're usually excellent at almost everything they do. They tend to be happy in their own company and they don't feel the need to go around sucking up to people. And others just end up resenting them, calling them arrogant, fake, the B word, and full of attitude. Unless they share their struggles and failures and they start talking to others and get along well with others, then suddenly people start seeing them as relatable, likable, humble, authentic, and even real. So, did you see how the tables turned? Now, here's the problem. We as a collective are missing the opportunity to form deep, meaningful, and genuine connections because we have this tendency to judge people based on the way they look and we jump to conclusions based on our own assumptions within the first 5 to 10 seconds. And Glenn and I were talking about this the other day. People have this tendency of putting others in boxes, and we think it has to do with convenience because they're making their calculations based on the person's background, ethnicity, the language they speak, the skin color, caste, religion, and socioeconomic status. And then they decide how they should behave with whom. So, this happens a lot with me when people come to know I'm a dental surgeon with a master's degree. Suddenly, they respect me even though I've not treated them. But when they come to know I'm a dancer, they look all confused. And this is not everyone. A lot of people are very supportive, but most people look confused. And definitely, it's not a respectful expression. And in the same way, when people come to know I've done my grade 1 to 12 in Muscat, they treat me as somewhat special or superior because they think I'm NRI, so I'm in some way better than them. But when they come to know I'm from Delhi, like I was born in Delhi, and then I did my college in Manipal and Bangalore, then they think I'm not so special. The problem is that a lot of us do not take the time to understand the perspective of another person, and we're not curious enough about the different facets of another person because that requires us to think and use our brains, and that takes effort. I've met so many people who don't even give the benefit of doubt to another person who they've just met, and they just jump to conclusions and make their assumptions based on such little information. But all the conclusions they've made are always a reflection of their own perspective and life experience. So you see how one sided and limited that is. And the catch is, these people don't even feel bad about it. They actually take pride in it and they think that they're quick thinkers and quick decision makers and others are just slow. But what they're actually doing is they're always calculating about how they could benefit from the other person and how, if they hung out with the other person, it would be good for their reputation or growth. This behavior is so toxic and it leads to intolerance, but it's been normalized because of this whole I scratch your back, you scratch mine thing that goes on. And you see, the support, compassion, companionship are also conditional. To do something about this, we need to understand why this even happens. At the core of this, what is rewarded by society is self abandonment and self oppression. Let me put it this way: to be accepted by people, we need to reject our honest beliefs, choices, and desires. We need to shrink ourselves to make other people feel comfortable, just so that they finally humanize us, so that they finally understand us and try to connect with us. That is so problematic. We do all this to ourselves because we are afraid of being rejected by others. We are afraid of being bullied, defamed, ostracized, and most of all, we are afraid of our own potential and greatness. We do everything in our power to make ourselves fit into what other people think authentic is. We create a version of ourselves which is, yes, easily liked by people, easily digestible by others. Yes, there's very less risk of being defamed, of any conflict happening. But what's the point when we rejected ourselves and defamed ourselves first? So the question is, this version that we've created ourselves, which is easily accepted by others, is that truly who we are? So in the end, self abandonment, self oppression, and rejection are the cost we are paying to be liked by others. How ridiculous is that? I want to share with you what I feel authenticity is. I've written it down for myself so that I can always keep reading it again and again for me, because trust me, I go through a lot of pressure. Okay. So here it goes. To me, authenticity is being yourself in an honest way without any external influence, which is what makes it real. And this applies to the way I think, the choices I make, and the way I do things. I don't care if someone doesn't have a lot of money, if they don't have access to resources, and if they are not a part of any influential network. What I care about is how do they carry themselves, what do they do with what they have, how resourceful are they being, how creative are they, how do they choose to express themselves, what inspires them, what is their story? How do their minds work? You see how all of this is not related to the way they look. I've not had divisive concepts related to skin color, caste, religion, race in my mind. And I think it has to do with my upbringing because I was brought up in different places with different cultures. And in my family, there are people of different cultures and religions. In fact, I was born to an interfaith couple who were deeply in love. So tolerance is in my DNA. When I came back to India from Muscat for my higher education, that is when I became aware of the realities of discrimination. And it was quite shocking to me how conscious people were of their skin color, caste, socioeconomic status, even their surnames over here. What we were taught back in the textbooks in Muscat was very different from what the reality is, because caste, religious, and skin color discrimination exists even today, but it's mostly a hush hush and taboo topic because people are afraid of creating conflict and discomfort, so they prefer keeping it under the rug. But we as a collective are all complicit in some way or the other in this discrimination because of our silence. So, yeah, back in Muscat, we were Indian, but when we came back to India, it became about being North Indian and South Indian, and there are different slangs for that here which are quite disrespectful, and I don't want to get into that now. In my case, I'm creative, I'm moody, and I always strive for improvement. So here's the thing: when it comes to my creativity, I'm not just creative with my art, I also love being creative with the way I talk. So I love being playful with the tone, the pitch, the diction, the modulation, and also the mood, which is why sometimes in some videos I sound a little different. It's just because I feel different and I am being real in that moment. And I do have this more polished way of speaking, which may be a more presenter kind of speaking because, like I've said earlier, I was into public speaking. I used to give seminars back in college. So that required me to have a more professional, formal tone. And I love that and I miss that. And then I have this more casual and informal way of speaking, which is the way I speak at home and with some close friends of mine. And that requires no effort from me, okay? That is very mindless talking that I do. People may think that is real, but I find that really boring because I'm not using my creativity there. And a lot of people, when they hear me speak in my more polished way, they think I'm being fake, they think I'm a wannabe of some sorts. And many people even feel intimidated by that. But since I like being playful with the way I speak, when I hear someone else changing their way of speaking in different situations, I don't judge them negatively for it. I actually appreciate them because I think that is so creative and fun and not boring. Imagine just talking in one way everywhere all the time. To me, that's boring. Now, when it comes to me being moody, I express it in my dances. Sometimes I go for something more sassy, sometimes it's a more sensual, sexy vibe, and sometimes it's a more soulful vibe. So these are all so different, but it's all me. My moodiness affects my makeup and outfits as well. Sometimes I go for a more toned down look, depending on my mood, and other times I go for a more fancy and extra look, and that is also me. I'm all of it. One thing about me being moody is that I'm also very good at not faking my mood to others, especially in a professional environment. I'm very good at being by myself, even if others are in a group and they're bullying me. Sometimes people have had this thinking that if you're not with us, you're against us. But I'm not going and interfering with them. I am not going and doing anything against them. I'm just minding my own business and I'm doing my thing. But a lot of people have had problems with me for that. And I feel that's been a reflection of them because I know for sure some of them have been very afraid of being by themselves. And when they were being bullied by seniors, this was in college, they have told me that we should be in a group so that we won't get bullied. They feel very insecure when they see someone else who is able to be in their own company in a high pressure environment with bullies around. They are not able to be on their own, so when they see someone else who's able to be on their own and not suck up to people and they're doing their work, they're competent, then these people have a really big problem with it. So these people get really triggered, and for some weird reason, they take it personally. I've been in places where I sensed very early on that the people there are a part of a very toxic system. They have normalized it, they are all in on it, and they expect you to suck up. And they will think that if you're not with us, you're against us. So they'll do things to sabotage you. And for me, when I sense that it's toxic for me, for my personality, for my growth, then I instantly decide to not give my energy there. So I'll just do my work and I'll be out. And in the same place, if I meet people who are genuine, I will engage with them. But with the others, I don't put myself through shit when I know that they are complicit in all the toxicity. So these toxic people in authority or my peers would have a problem with me because I'm not unreasonably friendly or pally. I don't go out of my way to suck up to people. They're kind of intimidated by my personality and the way I look and the way I speak. And I do my work because I care about it. But they knew that I was deeply sensitive. So even though I mind my own business, these people would go out of their way to trigger me, to humble me, and then they're the ones to say that I have an attitude. It's as if they were thinking that, are you really confident? We know you're not so confident, so just break now. These people would keep projecting their insecurities on me. So those people were so weird and petty because they were making my mood, behavior, and personality about themselves somehow. So, with this example, what I'm trying to tell you is own your mood, own it. There's nothing to be ashamed about it. When I have felt vulnerable, I have felt so much pressure to just do things to fit in with others so that they won't attack me. But it took me time to own my strength and cultivate it and not being ashamed of being honest with my feelings, especially when I'm a deeply sensitive person. So, because I know that I am like this, I've accepted myself, I'm compassionate with myself, and I'm completely fine with it, and I love myself now, and I'm self assured. When I see someone else being that way, I'm not going to judge them negatively. I'll just understand that, okay, so today this is their mood, they're being true to it, they're not faking it. And surely I'm going to do my part to make this a safe environment for them to express themselves safely and freely. I continuously strive for improvement. Like I've said, I've always been that way. So, different people have met me in different phases of my life. Some have seen it as a positive thing, but some have negatively judged me. Different people have had different opinions about it. I only take what works for me. So, when I'm aware of myself changing, but my core values staying the same, I'm not going to judge other people for changing as well because I know and respect that everyone's on their path. I'm dynamic and I love seeing that in other people too. It doesn't mean we're fake. And I respect other people who constantly improve, who constantly experiment, who do different things, who go against the grain, who challenge themselves. My thinking has evolved a lot over the years. So it doesn't mean I was fake back then or I'm fake right now. I've been true to all the phases of my life and I was doing the best with the information I had. I just don't like how people judge others and say, Array, this person has changed. And who does she think she is? Who does he think he is? And they're copying this person and they're copying that person. Just live and let live. Don't copy someone else's version of authenticity. You be yourself. Whether your style is more toned down or whether you like going for a more extra or fancy look or you like doing both, then be both. It's all you. But I will say, if you like playing up your fashion, you like being extra with your outfits, then people around you may feel threatened by you and you may feel this pressure to do things to fit in and make other people feel more comfortable. But please don't give in to this pressure. It's not worth it. Don't do this to yourself. I've been through so many situations where other people have been threatened by me, and just to make them feel more comfortable, I would act more friendly than I am, and I would do things just to make them feel less intimidated and to comfort them. But in the end, I would just hate myself all the more. I would just feel like I've betrayed myself. And that's a terrible feeling. So have the courage to be yourself. That's really worth fighting for. Remember, there's no one in this world like you. So lean into your strengths, bet on yourself. They can copy you all they want, but they can't copy your essence. And if they call you fake while you're being yourself, then that's not your problem to deal with. Start pouring into yourself, start caring for yourself, do little things that make you feel happy and good about yourself. I know it's not always easy to love ourselves, especially when we've been through life changing major trauma that has made us hate ourselves so much. And I know that because I've been through it. So it's very difficult. I know the urge to self sabotage is very strong. But remember, the more we pour into ourselves and love ourselves, the more we weaken that urge to hurt ourselves. Be compassionate with yourself. Accept your good parts and your not so good parts. This way, you'll be more self assured and you'll stop putting people on the pedestal. This is how I stopped caring about other people's negative opinions about me. So, stop seeing yourself through other people's eyes. Please don't end up becoming your own oppressor and don't betray yourself because it's not worth it. Hi and cheers from my kitchen. I just made myself this glass of Rooh Afza, which is my favorite drink. If you like it too, then please tell me, and maybe I'll make a video on how I make this. In Hindi, we call it Mohabbat ki Sharbat, which is the drink of love. And my nani, my grandmother, she used to make it in a very special way. So, yeah, I'm just getting so nostalgic right now. Take care of yourself, stay in touch, and bye for now.